get through this as efficiently as possible so we can take questions and get you on with your evening. We are just going to go through this event guide. Looking forward to seeing everyone next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, May 9th or 10th at Prince George's Sports and Learning Complex for the Interscholastic Unified Track and Field State High School Invitational. You'll see on this page the overview, our date, and our schedule for each day. You'll note, please, that our inclement weather date, if needed, is Thursday, May 11th. And right now, the weather looks clear, but as we live in Maryland, we know that could change at any time. So should there be a rain out or some other sort of severe weather on Tuesday or Wednesday, the competition for that day will be moved to Thursday, May 11th. Session 1, which is roster sizes smaller than 20, as you should have been notified by your district representative. And Session 2 is roster sizes 20 and over. Schools should plan to arrive no later than 10 a.m. Our opening ceremony will begin at 10:30, and we will begin competition promptly at 11 a.m. Tentatively, awards for both days are set for 4 p.m. That will move up or it will move back depending on the speed of competition. So make sure that the parents of your student athletes know that, and also any spectators who might be coming, that if we move faster, we'll move those up. If we move slower, they're going to be a little bit later. All right, our county session assignment. This is quite a big list to go through. So if you'll note on your screen, the counties are in alphabetical order. Allegheny County, let me back up. Also, you'll see on your screen in this table, the county, the high school, what team division they are. All right, each day is divided into more manageable competition groupings and what session they're attending. And then you'll also see a team scoring note. That is because some teams had to be combined due to scoring opportunities. Okay, so you'll take a look at this, and I'm not going to go through each county and school right now. You can almost see if I zoom out on my screen. That's probably a little too small. Okay, so that's the entire state. We have schools from Allegheny, Charles, Frederick, Prince George's, and Washington attending on both days. Okay, in your event guide, like Melissa said, which will be emailed out to you tonight, is the address for the Prince George's Sports and Learning Complex, as well as a link to the driving directions. We're going to be hosting approximately 700 student athletes and 70 coaches over the 2 days. So that's awesome. That is a great number, and bravo to all of you coaches and district representatives for doing such a great job getting people out this year. As you'll probably recall from emails this week, we emailed all the coaches and asked for you to make sure that you had anybody traveling with you on a credentialing list. So all non-student athletes must be credentialed. Any coaches appearing on your delegation reports, you'll receive a Class A credential in your team delegation packet when you arrive. All other non-student athletes must provide a volunteer application prior to arrival and obtain Class A status. We've closed that credentialing list. We asked you to do that by 9 a.m. yesterday. If for some emergency has happened, please reach out to us. But we are not going to be providing credentials or access to anybody who's not on that list next week. So each school will receive one all-access credential that can be transferred to anyone who's officially registered, and so that will get you access to competition areas. But please note, coaches, you may not coach in the competition area. So once one of your competitors enters the track or their fielding event, you must stop coaching, and that includes in field events during non-consecutive attempts. Okay, I think that's all about credentials. Warm-ups available on the track, and the running long jump, anytime from 9:30, we will open that up and end that about 10:15 so that we can shut it down for the opening ceremony. Unfortunately, due to safety considerations, the mini javelin and the shot put will not be open prior to opening ceremony, which will begin at 10:30, as we said. You'll note on this, and you'll get, like I said, you'll get a copy tonight. There's a SurveyMonkey link for the opening ceremonies paragraph there. We love to highlight student athletes and or coaches to participate in those opening ceremonies. We have a torchbearer role, a national anthem singer available, and also the student athlete oath, the coach's oath. So if you can think of someone on your team who would work well in one of those roles, please fill out the information in that link as soon as possible. Tonight, if possible, would be great, so we can line that up. I was going to call out La Plata High School. I hear that they have a national anthem singer. So Coach Barry, make sure you fill out that link. Awards at the end of the day will be presented whenever competition finishes. Like I said in the beginning, at approximately 4 p.m. We will also have medical personnel available on site. Make sure, coaches, that you are traveling with your own school system's risk management precautions, such as student-athlete emergency cards also. We provide boxed lunches for all registered student-athletes, coaches, and volunteers free of charge. And when I say volunteers, in 2 paragraphs, I'm going to be talking about what kind of volunteers we're talking about, who can reach out to our volunteer coordinator, Jeff Abel. But I don't mean anybody that you decide to pick up that day and bring with you. Unfortunately, we can't accommodate those types of volunteers, but any registered volunteers. Concessions, however, are available throughout the day for spectators. So you can let parents and any spectators that might be coming alongside your team that there is food available on site. After competition is concluded, we really value your opinion, any input you have to give, and so you'll see another SurveyMonkey link there that we really appreciate all coaches filling out to help us plan better in the future. And also you can reach out to Melissa Kelly if you have any other feedback about Unified in general. And as I referenced a moment ago, we recruit volunteers throughout the local community to support our competition. So if you have anyone from your school or from your community that is interested in volunteering, you can email jabel@somd.org. That's Jeff, and he can walk you through the steps to have somebody registered that day as an on-site volunteer. And many hands make light work. So if you do have anybody traveling with you who can serve as a volunteer, we really encourage you to reach out to Jeff, please. The next few pages of the event guide are just location maps to help you out. See, on page 7 of your guide, which is on your screen right now, the way in which buses should enter and drop off their student athletes for the competition. And then that is on Harvey Drive. All other spectators, any other automobiles that are traveling and parking for the general public should go down to William Paca and park in the parking lot over there, which this is an aerial view. The next page, which I'm scrolling down to, is the venue layout. So you can see in page 7 how this is situated. Let me use my mouse. This right here, where I'm scrolling up and down, that is where Harvey Drive is, and where your buses can drop you off. Right here, that's G, team drop off. Right here, H, which is not very far, you'll see the registration and check-in table. That's also where we will distribute lunches once competition begins at 11 a.m. So this coaches point H is where you want at least one coach to check everybody in. There's spectator seating on these bleachers, and we'll have your delegation banners set up so you can sit where spectators can easily find you. And then you'll see the track staging here at A, and then field staging here at this big giant tent. You'll see it. It's unmissable. At C, and then mini jab in the middle of the football field, shot put on the other side at point D, and long jump is here at E, which was going to be basically right by the control tent. Okay, we also, I just didn't address, F right here is the awards presentation. You'll see a stage setup, and then I here, we will have Special Olympics and unified merchandise for sale during the event. As I noted before, you should enter the facility at the main entrance and proceed to the east side of the stadium following any instructions from the Prince George's Sports and Learning Complex staff. And then there's some notes there that if there's a backup at the main entrance, that spectators should be encouraged to go down the street and turn on by William Paca Elementary School. Volunteers and spectators should utilize the parking lot past the stadium complex, and then there will be signs and people from Prince George's Sports and Learning Complex who will provide assistance for bus parking. Make sure that you get your bus driver's contact information before you get off so that you can give updates throughout the day, whether we're moving competition on time, fast, or slow. Okay. As is noted in your coach's resource guide, we will follow the National Federation of State High School Association rules for competition, except where we have specific adjustments that are allowed by Special Olympics summer sports rules for athletics. So the 2017 Coaches Resource Guide that you have this year, that will govern all roster requirements as far as balance and minimum team number expectations and whatnot. Our official track events, the 100 meter, the 200 meter, 400 meter, and 800 meter runs, the 4x1 meter relay, and the 4x4 meter relay. Field events are a mini javelin, shot put, and running long jump. As you already know by now, participants may enter one individual track, one individual field event, and they may be selected to participate in one relay event. Relays, just want to make a note that coaches, we do allow you to activate an alternate to one of your relay events, as noted in the coach's resource guide. So you should know, you should have seen this probably by now. We will allow, that can be active, those people can be activated up to 10 minutes prior to the competition. You can always note at registration any scratches, any alternates that might need to be taking someone's place. You can, if you know that ahead of time, you can do that at the registration check-in. Team divisioning and scoring, which I referred to earlier with the table of counties and schools and their session assignments and divisioning. So we division teams according to total roster size, and we try to keep schools with the same or very close numbers together to ensure the maximum number of scoring opportunities for everyone. Team scoring is based upon the format in the National Federation of State High School Association track and field rulebook for dual meets. Since all competition divisions score points for a team, the unified team track and field rules are as follows. First place scores 5 points, a second place scores 3 points, and a third place scores 1 point for their overall team score. I believe, if I am recalling without looking, there are 4 divisions for Session 1, and there are 3 divisions for Session 2. Here is in Word format what I explained on the venue map as far as team check-in. You'll do that at the Harvey Drive location with entrance, which is location F on the venue map above. At that time, only one coach from each team needs to check in. He or she will report all scratches and collect your delegation packet. You'll be provided multiple copies of your registration, which includes a listing of student athletes who will compete and their events, coach credentials, lunch tickets, bib numbers, and safety pins. So you need to check your roster and verify it one final time. Please report any and all scratches for both track and field events. Try not to forget to do both at that registration table. And as I said just a moment ago, if a student athlete is absent from a relay, you may activate your alternate at that time. And just a reminder for relays, if it is a partner who needs to be replaced, they have to be replaced with a partner. And if it is an athlete, they have to be replaced with an athlete. So you have to maintain that 2 and 2 balance on your relay team, even with your alternates. Uniforms, all players must be dressed properly for competition. Anyone out of uniform will not be allowed to compete. No exception. Please, please, please remind your teams. Athletic shorts, not khakis, not jeans. It has to be athletic shorts. You can wear a layer for warmth underneath, but it has to be a uniform color, no pattern. The coach's resource guide goes into much fuller treatment of uniform rules. No jewelry, no hats or headwear unless it's for religious reasons, no visible undergarments. School-issued uniforms has to be full-length shirt, so no midriff bearing. I think that's pretty much it for reminders. As I said, there's much more detail in the coach's resource guide. Please refer to that. We don't want anybody to have to sit out that day because of uniform violation. So make sure you double check all of your student athletes. Bib numbers, we will be utilizing bib numbers so that we can expedite competition and easily identify competitors. So everyone will be issued a bib number, which the coach will collect at the check-in. There's a picture for reference with exactly how the bib should be secured to your student athlete's uniform on the front torso. Okay, event staging. So each bib will have a label indicating the student athlete's competition report time. If they are not competing, the student athletes need to remain in the spectator area. A report with all the report times will be provided in your delegation packet, which will be collected at check-in upon arrival, which you'll collect, excuse me. So make sure that you follow the detailed schedule that will be included in your delegation packet and have your competitors report on time. Also, we have an announcer on site who will also remind you out loud. So keep ears perked for any announcements about time, any second or third calls, last calls for check-in. All competitors have to report to the track staging tent or the field event staging tent prior to their individual competition. So on, if I can remember offhand, what was this, page 7? Yes. Oh, no, page 8. Okay. So right down here where I'm circling on my screen, location A is the track staging tent, and in there will be volunteers or a Special Olympics staff or a very competent district representative who will check athletes in and place them in order that they are to be sent out on the track. So they have to check in at that point, or they are going to miss their race. So do not have them report straight to the track itself, but instead this tent here. And the same with fielding events right here where I'm circling with my cursor. In track staging, or excuse me, the field staging is in tent C, and the same goes. Any field event checks in there, and then the athletes are actually escorted out to their event. So that is where they have to report. Okay. All right. If one staging time conflicts, okay, so if it so happens that an athlete's report time for track and field are the same, he or she will compete in the track event and will be allowed to, quote unquote, make up the field event afterward, okay? But they should check in at both staging tents, and they will compete in their track event first. Those have to run on time. If a competitor misses his or her track heat, there will not be a makeup heat. That is really important to note. If anybody has any questions about that, we can explain that further. Always inclement weather decisions will be provided or posted by 7 a.m. the day of the competition. In case of inclement weather, as I said before, we're going to go with May 11th as the rain date. And Special Olympics Maryland will utilize Nixle, which is a text messaging communication system, Twitter, our Facebook page, and a phone messaging system. The information for accessing all of those are on this page here. Merchandise will be available for sale. Cash and credit cards will be accepted. There's some great unified sports gear that will be available on site near the concession. And as always, we ask you to please support our sponsors. Before I open up to questions, there is one thing I wanted to go over that's not in the event guide. The order of events. As you can see on the screen here, this is an example of an order of events. This is not, if you see that you're Division I on Session 1, this is not necessarily how your schedule will play out, only because we are still updating times and scratches and the like. So this is just an example of what you will see the day of the competition. So we have, in this example, 7 time blocks. And during time block 1, Division I will compete in their running events. Division II will not compete at all. And Division III will do their field events. And then it will just sort of follow a pattern where you're moving through each of those 3. So time block 2, then Division I competes in their field event, Division II in their running events, and then Division III resting. And then time block 3 will finish that up. Then relays would follow for those 3 divisions, alternating each time block. Okay, and we will, we'll alert you to when we have this set. We don't have that quite yet, so we ask you for your patience while we work that out. Melissa, is there anything else we want to remind of?
Yes, Allie, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Piggybacking on Allie's notations regarding the registrations and the schedule, we realize that we are upon a very tight time frame, as we always are. And we would like to extend our appreciation to all of you to meet the deadlines in which we have imposed, especially with regard to the registrations. With that said, if issues, misinformation, misunderstanding of information, the information that you've submitted for the corrections to the reports that have been distributed need to occur and that we follow up with you directly, we immensely appreciate your responsiveness. And if you can, we primarily communicate by way of email, but in a very feverish, timely need or ask for clarification, we may call you. So, or shoot you a text. So please look for those forms of communication. We want to get this right. As Ali has referenced, and we have a couple times, we have over 700 student athletes registered to sessions, so it's quite an ambitious event, but we want to make it a very successful and fulfilling event for the student athletes. So with that said, thank you for that. Also, just wanted to clarify the relays component. Unfortunately, we have made every effort to identify the alternates ahead of time and register those, but in scanning some of the registrations and such, we're going to defer, as Ali described, to the way in which we identified alternates last year. So the alternates, again, it can be for each relay team at each distance, one person with a disability and one person without a disability. A person can serve as an alternate for multiple relay teams. They do need to be a registered student athlete, registered to the event. And one last caution, we implemented the maximum effort rule last year, and that rule states that if a team improves their qualifying score by 20% or more, it's an automatic disqualification. So that would be imposed for all teams, and wanted to underscore that for those of you who may have to activate alternates. We did have a unfortunate situation where by a fraction of a percent, a team improved their qualifying score at the state invitational. And once again, just to reiterate that it will be an automatic disqualification. With regard to some other points of emphasis, things that we've seen at county championships, local meets and such, want to also make sure that you coaches are vetting and you're on the front lines and seeing your student athletes in their competition wear, making sure that they're outfitted properly. We by no means whatsoever will allow anyone to compete out of uniform. That would also include wearing undergarments. Camouflage seems to be popular this year. So any undergarments like tights or such need to be of solid color, and then headbands, no hats whatsoever. The length of the distances that we offer do not constitute needing to wear a hat. Certainly if there is a medical or religious consideration, we will gladly provide that waiver. However, wanting to wear a hat for the sake of style or comfort is not going to be permitted. So please do take a look at your student athletes as they board the bus. Make sure you maybe have some extra garments available on hand, because we certainly do not want to be in a situation where one is disqualified or may not compete if they are out of uniform. So please do know that as well. And we will follow up with you on a couple of other notes, but if we could, when we conclude here, if we could have Northwestern, if there's a coach from Northwestern High School in Prince George's County, if you could stay on, we need to speak with you briefly. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't see any questions in the chat box. Right now, the time to ask them if you have any while we're here, and maybe answer them, unless we just did a really great job. Okay, I don't see anyone. So just reiterating what Melissa said, there's probably quite a bit of communication over the next couple of days be responsive to emails. Also, we ran into the issue. There are still a few coaches that are not on our a Google document, a spreadsheet was sent out. Look through your email just for our sake, even if you help them there, phone number would be great, so that we can make quick changes if we need to. Otherwise, I think cover that for an email later today or early tomorrow. Just some action steps. And again, if there is a Northwestern coach, if you could stay on the line after everyone has hung up.